On June 24th, in the middle of World Cup 2026, Lionel Messi turned 39 years old. Most footballers are long retired by that age. Many are already working as coaches, pundits, or club executives. Yet somehow, Messi is still here, not just participating, not just surviving, dominating, 5 goals in 2 matches, leading the Golden Boot race, breaking records that once seemed untouchable. But strangely, none of that became the most talked about moment surrounding Argentina this week. Instead, it was a short video, just a few seconds long. The Argentine players stood in 2 lines inside the tunnel. Nobody moved. Nobody stepped forward. Then Messi appeared. And only after Messi walked through did everyone else follow. The clip instantly went viral. To some people, it looked like a king walking among his subjects. To others, it was proof of the enormous influence Messi still carries inside the Argentine national team. But here is what makes the scene fascinating. Messi never asked for it. He didn't gesture. He didn't speak. He didn't demand attention. He simply walked, and somehow, the entire room followed. That has always been the mystery of Lionel Messi. For nearly 2 decades, he has become one of the most influential figures in world football, without ever behaving like a traditional leader. He rarely delivers passionate speeches. He rarely points fingers. He rarely raises his voice. Yet some of the biggest personalities in football have willingly followed him throughout his career, not because they had to, because they wanted to. And perhaps that is the purest form of leadership football has ever seen. The strange thing about Lionel Messi is that he has never looked like a leader, at least not in the traditional sense. He doesn't deliver emotional speeches before matches. He doesn't point fingers when things go wrong. And he doesn't demand attention. For most of his career, he has preferred silence. Years ago, Xavi Hernandez shared a story that perfectly captured who Messi really is. During a Barcelona tour, the two shared a hotel room. In the middle of a quiet evening, Messi politely asked if it would be okay to turn on the television. Xavi was stunned. One of the greatest footballers on the planet was asking permission to use a TV in his own room. He laughed and told Messi to stop asking for permission over something so small. That story stayed with people because it revealed something many never expected. Behind all the trophies, records, and global fame, there was still a shy kid from Rosario. Of course, Messi is not perfect. There have been moments when emotions got the better of him. The Netherlands clash at the 2022 World Cup remains the most famous example. The tension, the arguments, the celebrations, and the now iconic, "What are you looking at?" moment showed a different side of him. But those moments have always been the exception rather than the rule. Throughout his entire career, Messi has never tried to impose his personality on others. When teams lose, he does not publicly criticize teammates. When things go wrong, he rarely searches for excuses. Instead, he does what he has always done. He keeps playing. And perhaps that is exactly why people listen when he finally speaks. In a sport filled with loud voices and powerful personalities, Messi built his influence through actions rather than words. Over time, that quiet influence became something far greater than anyone could have imagined. If Messi never asked for power, then why have so many people spent years believing he controls everything around him? The answer lies in one of football's longest-running myths. Throughout his career, countless stories have painted Messi as a hidden force behind the scenes, a player whose influence extended far beyond the pitch. One of the most famous rumors emerged during Tata Martino's time at Barcelona. According to the story, Martino supposedly told Messi that if he picked up the phone and called the club president, the coach would be fired immediately. The quote spread rapidly across Spanish media and was repeated so often that many fans accepted it as fact. There was just one problem. Martino himself denied ever saying it. He called the story completely false. Yet the rumor refused to disappear. Years later, a similar narrative returned during Luis Enrique's early period at Barcelona. Following a disappointing defeat, Messi was left on the bench, and the Spanish press immediately exploded with reports of a dressing room crisis. Headlines suggested that Messi was unhappy. Others claimed he wanted the manager removed. The speculation became so intense that club president Josep Maria Bartomeu personally visited the dressing room to deny the rumors and reassure everyone involved. Once again, there was no evidence. Once again, the story survived anyway. Looking back, it is easy to understand why these theories became so popular. Messi was already the biggest star in world football. Barcelona's entire system revolved around him. Teammates adapted to his movements. Coaches built tactical plans around his strengths. Even Pep Guardiola, a manager obsessed with collective football, openly admitted that Messi was different. To outsiders, that level of importance looked like power. But perhaps people misunderstood what they were actually seeing. Messi never needed to demand authority, because authority naturally followed him. He never had to force people to trust him, because his performances earned that trust long before any conversation took place. The media often struggles to understand silent greatness. When someone refuses to explain himself, others rush to fill the silence with theories. When someone avoids the spotlight, others create stories to explain his influence. And for years, Messi became the perfect target for those stories. Yet the truth may be far simpler than any conspiracy. Messi never wanted to control the dressing room. He never wanted to be a politician. He never wanted to be a king. He simply became so extraordinary at football that everyone around him naturally chose to follow. If there is one player who perfectly represents Messi's influence inside the Argentina squad, it is Rodrigo De Paul. Over the years, De Paul has become one of Messi's closest allies on and off the pitch. Fans often joke that he is Messi's personal bodyguard, always nearby, always ready to defend his captain whenever tensions rise. Yet, what makes their relationship remarkable is that Messi never asked for any of it. He never demanded loyalty. He never requested protection. He never told De Paul how to behave. In fact, that has always been the pattern throughout Messi's career. He does not build relationships through authority. He builds them through example. Teammates watch him train. They watch him perform under pressure. They watch him carry the weight of an entire nation year after year. And eventually, many of them decide on their own that they want to stand beside him. That influence has become even more visible during World Cup 2026. Argentina arrived in North America as defending world champions, a squad filled with elite talent. Lautaro Martinez, Julian Alvarez, Alexis McAllister, Enzo Fernandez. Every one of them is capable of deciding matches at the highest level. Yet despite all that quality, the team still looks toward the same man whenever the biggest moments arrive. Messi remains the center of gravity. Not because the system forces it, but because history has taught everyone around him what happens when the ball reaches his feet. Through the opening matches of this tournament, he has once again rewarded that faith. 5 goals. Historic performances. Another record broken. Another reminder that football's greatest stars may change, but some legends simply refuse to fade away. Argentina does not follow Messi because they are told to. They follow him because, after everything he has accomplished, they still believe he can lead them somewhere extraordinary. And then came World Cup 2026. A tournament that many believed would simply be a farewell tour for a 39-year-old legend. Instead, it became another chapter in a story that refuses to end. While younger stars such as Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland made impressive starts to the competition, Messi once again found a way to command the spotlight. 5 goals in the opening matches. Match-winning performances. And yet another historic milestone added to an already unmatched legacy. With his goals in this tournament, Messi moved beyond Miroslav Klose's long-standing World Cup record and raised the bar to 18 career World Cup goals, becoming the competition's all-time leading scorer. It was the kind of achievement that normally demands grand celebrations and emotional speeches. But Messi treated it the same way he has treated almost every major accomplishment throughout his career. Calmly. Quietly. When reporters asked him about the record, he simply admitted that he was exhausted and struggling to process everything that had happened. No dramatic statements. No attempt to make the moment about himself. Just another interview. Just another day at the office. Yet around the football world, the reaction was very different. Thierry Henry, a man who understands greatness better than most, admitted he was running out of words to describe what he was witnessing. Across social media, television studios, and sports publications, the conversation was the same. How does a player continue performing at this level after 20 years at the top? Perhaps the answer can be found by looking at the journey itself. 20 years have passed since Messi scored his first World Cup goal in Germany in 2006. Back then, social media barely existed. Lionel Scaloni was still wearing the Argentina shirt as a player. The world looked completely different. Yet somehow, 2 decades later, Messi is still standing at the center of football's biggest stage. To celebrate that extraordinary journey, Adidas recently released a campaign showing Messi surrounded by every official World Cup ball from 2006 to 2026. Each ball represented a chapter. Each chapter represented a memory. Together, they told the story of a player who has transcended generations. And on June 24th, as Messi celebrated his 39th birthday, Argentina found its own way to say thank you. A nationwide campaign encouraged people to sing happy birthday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m., whether they were in schools, offices, restaurants, or riding buses through the streets of Buenos Aires. Millions joined in. Not because they were asked to, because they wanted to. Because for an entire generation, Messi has been more than a footballer. He has been a companion through some of life's happiest memories. Today, Lionel Messi is 39 years old. Time eventually defeats every athlete, every champion, every king. But Messi has never needed a crown to prove who he is. He never relied on speeches to inspire people. He never relied on power to earn loyalty. He simply played football at a level the world had never seen before. And that was enough. 20 years after his first World Cup goal, the kid from Rosario is still here. Still breaking records. Still inspiring millions. Still making people believe they are witnessing something special every time he touches the ball. Not because football needs another hero, but because football still is not ready to let Lionel Messi go.